So Classic WoW has been out for a few months now, and it is as pretty much as we remembered, except for a few minor technical changes. And although the game is basically identical to what we had in 2004 to 2006 era of World of Warcraft, the game back then was played in a significantly different way to how it is played today. The WoW community has gotten significantly better and more refined with how they play certain areas of Classic WoW. So in this video, I'm going to be going over some of the aspects of the game that has changed in the 2020 era of World of Warcraft Classic. By the way guys, I am now uploading to my second channel, Vaulty Plays. On this channel I upload some Classic WoW videos that are a lot more relaxed. I uploaded a few gold farming videos that I think you guys would find interesting. If you want to check out this channel and subscribe, please click the link in the pinned comment down below. So with that being said, here are 5 things in Classic WoW that have changed. So to start this list off, number 5 is leveling. So I'm not sure how many people can relate to this, but leveling in Classic WoW feels significantly faster compared to what I remembered back in the day. I must have been leveling very inefficiently, because the leveling process to 60 today seems significantly faster. In fact, I leveled up my 60 mage ult in a few weeks of casual play. You may be thinking that is just because mages are really fast levelers, however this was the case with my shaman as well. You see, dungeon farming is now the meta to grinding to 60. Spell cleave, melee cleave, and paid boosts are hugely faster than traditional grinding or questing methods that we were using back in the day. I believe once you hit around the levels where you can do Scarlet Monastery, you basically never need to do another quest again, since the XP that you can get from doing dungeon farming is significantly faster than anything you can do by yourself. And I need to remind a lot of people that didn't play Classic WoW when it came out that this concept didn't exist in the 2004 to 2006 era of WoW. Most of us would have just done quests in the open world without a guide telling us where to go. So it was significantly slower back in the day, probably like twice or 3 times slower than the XP per hour people are getting today. In fact, it was not uncommon for a lot of people to require almost half a year to get to level 60, but today the average player is way quicker when it comes to leveling. And reaching level 60 is not that big a deal. People can reach level 60 in under a week if they really want to. And every time I level up a character in Classic WoW today, once I get to the necessary level to do Scarlet Monastery dungeon farming, I basically never have to do a quest again, since the XP you get from dungeon clearing is way quicker than anything else. There's also the whole dungeon boosting thing. Now this never really existed. There's a new meta where people will pay for their ults to be leveled up in a dungeon by one level 60 guy who will basically just AoE down everything inside, in exchange for paying a few gold per run. This is mostly done in the Stockades, Scarlet Monastery, and Zul'Farrak. And yes, the XP per hour that you get from this, twice or even 3 times faster than what you would get if you were just leveling up normally. So for classes that are slow to level, this is like the ideal way to level up your character. And this wasn't even a concept. This idea of legal power leveling through dungeon boosts just wasn't a thing back in the day. But now this is just a normal part of the game. Number 4 on this list is PvP. So Alterac Valley and Warsong Gulch came out not that long ago, and PvP in Classic WoW has changed in a big way. Before Battlegrounds, you literally couldn't level up a character outside of a dungeon without being camped by people for honor. However, now these honor farmers are in Battlegrounds, it's a lot more relaxed to level up your character. However, the meta of honor farming in Classic WoW has gone from one extreme to another. It went from constantly ganking people at flight points, to now rushing PvE bosses in Alterac Valley. So what happened? Why are there so many people in Alterac Valley to begin with, and not Warsong Gulch? The reason is quite simple. It is the most efficient way to get honor and reputation. So why is Alterac Valley so efficient compared to Warsong Gulch for honor farming? Because in the original Classic WoW, anybody that was doing any honor farming would have gone to Warsong Gulch and would probably avoid Alterac Valley. But now this is flipped around, and now everybody that is serious about PvP and the ranking system is going to be an AV. The average Alterac Valley battleground is cleared in a significantly faster time compared to what it was like back in the day. The various lieutenants and named NPCs in Alterac Valley provide significant honor rewards for everybody in the battleground. A lot of the NPCs that you can kill in Alterac Valley provide 198 honor for the entire BG. So if you can kill these NPC objectives as quickly as possible, you can get significantly more honor compared to just running Warsong Gulch or killing people in the open world. The meta right now is to kill Captain Belinda or Captain Golfinger, then rush to kill the final bosses of the opposing faction for the maximum amount of honor and reputation. A lot of the time you go into Alterac Valley and it is completed in a matter of minutes. In a lot of cases, a game of AV is finished within 8 minutes of elapsed time. Back in the day, this was unheard of for pickup group battlegrounds. Now you may think that completing AV in this speed is unique to modern classic WoW, but it's not. This could be accomplished back in the day. This speedrunning of Alterac Valley was accomplished back in the day too, but only with very few pre-made groups. If you look at classic WoW videos from way back then, some people have been completing Alterac Valley in a matter of minutes, similar to how it is done today, but this was a very rare sight to behold. Most of the time in old AV, games would last for hours, sometimes even days. But now the classic WoW community is way more skilled at the game, they know exactly what they are doing, and how to win the BG in the fastest time possible. And this speedrunning meta of AV is now the mainstream way to do PvP in classic WoW. It's kind of ironic that the best way to progress through the PvP system is by avoiding PvP in AV and running to kill the PvE bosses. Number 3 on this list is raiding. It's no secret, but the average raider today is way better than the average raider of the old school classic WoW. I remember the idea of pugging Onyxia or Molten Core, and this was seen as something absolutely crazy. If you would suggest the idea of doing a pug for raid content, people would think you were nuts. Now I even remember playing vanilla WoW back in the day. I tried a Molten Core pug once, and we wiped 7 times on Lucifron. And then we called it a day. Today the idea of wiping on Lucifron is absolutely ridiculous. It's such a simple boss encounter, the mechanics are basically just decurse and do DPS and you win. But back then, getting people to be even that coordinated was a struggle. But now pugging is a completely valid way to play the game. The average pug can definitely do Onyxia or Molten Core as if it was just a normal dungeon. People are a lot more refined in how to play the game. DPS is higher, tanks are better, healers are more efficient, people know boss mechanics inside and out. So this phase of classic WoW content is kinda trivial. So much so that the mark of a good guild today is how fast you can speedrun Molten Core. The record for MC is like 20 minutes or so, which is just absolutely insane. That would be unthinkable, but now players are so much better compared to what they were like in 2004 to 2006. Everything has just become a lot more efficient, as the average player has definitely gotten a lot better. Now the question is, what will happen when the future raid content will come out? Will Blackwing Lair be pugged? It's kind of hard to say. From here on out, Blackwing Lair, Anchorage and Naxxramas, the difficulty of these raids is quite a steep increase compared to MC and Onyxia. But then again, the average classic WoW player is significantly better, so we might see Blackwing Lair pugs. Number 2 on this list is gearing. Now people are a lot more aware of what pieces of gear are good and which are bad. It just seems that people have a firm idea of what stats they need to prioritize for their class. Whereas back in the day, vanilla players would just equip whatever they felt like, or would just equip something over something else because it was an epic piece of equipment. But now classic WoW has been theory crafted at a much higher level. In fact, a lot of classes will equip items based on their pre-raid best in slot list, and many of which are blue items and not epics. The whole idea of a pre-raid BIS list is something that didn't exist back in the day. A pre-raid best in slot list or a best in slot list was a very niche concept to WoW players, and only hardcore players would be familiar with this term. People back in the day just kind of equipped items that they guessed were better, as opposed to really thinking about stat priorities. For example, melee DPS now all wear the True Strike shoulders for the plus hit. But back in the day, I couldn't remember a single player wearing these shoulders. Even though the plus hit percentage is one of the best stats for a melee DPS, nobody really understood the true value of these shoulders. But now, if you are a rogue or a fury warrior and you don't have the True Strike shoulders, you would be seen as lacking. The dungeon sets have also been completely ignored, since the tier 0 that you can acquire from dungeons aren't itemized very well for most classes. You pretty much never see anybody wear them. But in 2004 to 2006 era of World of Warcraft, loads of people equipped the dungeon sets and didn't really consider that the stats weren't that good. Number 1 on this list is content creation. There is so much player generated content for Classic WoW that it's crazy. Pretty much all of the biggest WoW streamers and YouTubers are playing Classic WoW. And I think the content creators are partly responsible for getting Classic WoW to be as popular as it is today. But this era of YouTube and Twitch content for WoW didn't exist back in the day at all. In fact, YouTube and Twitch didn't even exist when World of Warcraft initially came out. In fact, the closest you could get for content creation with vanilla WoW was by downloading PvP montages in 240p from Warcraft movies. Back then it would take hours to download a PvP montage, and the idea of commentary or sophisticated editing just didn't exist. Now we are absolutely spoiled for well-edited guides, top 10 lists, entertaining streams, for pretty much any aspect of the game. But back then, World of Warcraft was much more mysterious, and information was disseminated from word of mouth or forum posts, which seems very archaic today, but that is how it worked. To summarize, Classic WoW is Classic WoW, with some minor technical changes, yet the way that the game is played is dramatically different to what it was like back in the day. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. I find this new meta of Classic WoW very interesting, and I'm kind of amazed at how many things have been discovered already. It seems that every week someone comes up with a new way to do something, as the meta of Classic WoW is constantly evolving. It's pretty much the same game that we had in 2004 to 2006, but now we are playing it in a different way. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel. This is vaulty, signing out.